a record. Sorry, I was doing my air drums there. Willkommen, bienvenue. Welcome once again to IPSA Kind of Magic, the weekly show where we highlight all the best attributes that are within IPSA, the Association of Independent Personal Search Agents. I got it right. Of which Hamish is the current chairman, and Jackie is both an esteemed member, although she is technically retired, and a consultant because of her gigantically huge knowledge base. Which she will share with us shortly. Today's topic, for those of you that want to know, is the search code and the power of compliance. What exactly are we referring? It sounds very, very posh.
Well, it's something we should have mentioned previously because it's a reinforcement for our members, of course, are aware of it because they have to go through the compliance exercise every year and the major one every 3 years. But it's for those who are listening in who are possibly not members of IPSA, but are working with IPSA members. But it does actually demonstrate that we do actually follow certain guidelines, certain rules, and we are regulated by the Property Code Compliance Board. Going back to the historic, what's quite interesting, you may recollect, some of you counting ones, that we had our 20-year anniversary last year at IPSA. And this year is the 20th year celebration for the PCCB. Now, the PCCB was set up as an independent watchdog, I suppose you could say, regulator. Because prior to that particular time, IPSA did have their own search code, which I've still got my little box tick sort of somewhere or other to sort of say that I'm sort of compliant with what we have within IPSA. But COPSO, because it's a much larger body, was to explain COPSO. COPSO was the Council of Property Search Organisations, which contained within it a number of different providers of different styles and types of searches. We had the drainage and water people, we had the environmental people, and just about anybody. But they're the corporate providers were also members of the Council of Property Search Organisations. Now that, if you like, was an umbrella, but it was a very expensive item to actually sort of join. And us independent search agents, if you like, didn't necessarily feel that there was value in that because it wasn't actually giving us back what we actually sort of needed as independent operators.
Right.
However, what they did do, they were very, very good at setting up an independent Property Codes Compliance Board, which has enabled us to actually be regulated by an independent body. Now, what's particularly good about this, just to get more complicated, don't worry about the fact you don't remember what COPSO is. As long as you remember what IPSA stands for, that's the important one. However, there used to be a body called the CML, which was the can you remember what did CML stand for, Jackie?
Isn't it the Council of Mortgage Lenders?
Yeah, or money lenders. Yes.
See, I told you, the Oracle.
It matters not. It matters not. And within they provide a little handbook. And within their little handbook, they used to sort of say who was, what each of the lenders would accept in terms of searches, for example. And what the PCCB were able to do was to get the PCCB regulated aspect put in there. So when you looked up in the Council of Money Lenders Handbook, it said personal searches are acceptable or regulated searches are available, providing people are subscribed to the PCCB. Now, the CML, the Council of Mortgage Lenders or Money Lenders, probably Jackie's right because her brain's better than mine. That's actually been overruled now. I say overruled. It was switched over
No, I thought it was still the CML.
UK. This is where we should have Heather, because she will know these things. It's I'm just trying to think what it is. It will come to me if anybody's listening in. If they can type it in for us and remind us. But what it is, the details are available. But they do still produce a handbook which says what searches are acceptable. There is going to be an update to it because a number of people have left the Council of Property Search Organisations, COPSO, and they've set up an alternative which isn't yet fully acceptable, but they want to get the name, the PCCB, taken out and leave it up to the due diligence of the solicitor. So it's all getting very complicated. However, we like it simple. To become a member of IPSA, our Association of Independent Search Agents, you need to be regulated by the Property Codes Compliance Board. So, phase 1. Phase 2, you also need to go through, and at this particular sort of stage, I don't know if she's been told this, but Jack is going to be one side of the portcullis, with Heather at the other side of the portcullis, to enable people to become members of IPSA if they aren't members of IPSA yet. So they need to go through, and it's a very straightforward one, but it does actually just make sure that people actually, there's a few little questions there, asking people whether it's not one of those pass or fail type exams. It's just to make sure that people are joining us are coming from a professional basis. It's not a ticking box exercise, and it's much more interesting because it's more a discussion as much as anything else. But of course, you do need to be able to sort of reach with that. So effectively, what we're saying about the PCCB, it enables people to produce information that is acceptable by the majority. In fact, all of the important money lenders. I don't believe the Bank of Dubai accepts personal searches, but I don't think they're one of the most serious. But if you speak about the nationwide, if you speak
You'd
about,
think they would, considering the amount of English land they own. But anyway, look, that's a more contentious question.
yes, but in effect, this is one of the great things to us about the PCCB. At which point in time, I've been rambling on for long enough. It's time that we let somebody intelligent say something. Jackie.
He's not referring to me, of course. He's talking about you, Jackie. Right, Jackie. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, indeed. How important is the search code?
First of all, it is now known, the CML is now known as the UK Finance Mortgage Lenders.
Hooray!
Hooray! I've looked it up online.
I'll tell you what, acronyms are us. That's what today's show should be called. Go on,
how important is the search code? Well, to me, having had a foot in both camps, to have us monitored every year and checked to make sure that our search report, the questions are correct, worded correctly legal-wise, and that the answers that we give are correct legal-wise. Because at one time, you used to be able to put in an answer to a question. So it might say, how many listed building consents are on this property? Well, if it's not listed, there shouldn't be any. So we used to put N/K, which means not applicable. But somebody in the wisdom, and when I thought about it, was correct, it could mean not available. So then I
have used NA as not available before now.
Yeah. So now the PCCB said to us, you must put not applicable or not available. So that is the sort of thing. So it stopped confusion. But also people must remember that council searches are not monitored. They are not monitored like we are. They also don't have the insurance that we have to have. The council as a whole has an insurance. There's no separate insurance for the land charges department. So therefore, we are more highly insured than a council search. We have the professional indemnity insurance and we have the single search insurance, which is an extra one that was introduced a fair few years ago by the PCCB. So we are personal searchers and members of IPSA also should be members of the PCCB. That means that they are every year, they are checked, the regulations are adhered to, that their answers are correct, and also the research they are doing is correct. They also ask you where you find your information, how you glean that information, and how you interpret it. So therefore, we are monitored. As I say, the councils aren't, because it was years ago that it was brought in that certain things had to be registered within 28 days. And that's where it comes from. But nobody bothered to check them because there's so many councils. I mean, there was 340 odd. I think it's gone down to 320 something now. There was nobody monitoring their register to make sure that Section 106 planning agreements were registered within 28 days. And I remember one particular council in my area, I won't name them, but the person in charge left, she retired, and somebody from another council came in, and she was sat at the desk and she looked at the windowsill and she said, "What are all those things there on the windowsill?" And one of the members of staff said to her, "Oh, they're the Section 106 agreements we haven't yet registered." Oh dear. Some of them were 2 and 3 years old and they hadn't been registered.
What they're doing sitting there on the windowsill?
Because nobody could be bothered to register them or couldn't find the time to register them. So that person who was temporary in charge said, right, before anything else is done, that lot's got to be registered. But fortunately, if you've got a searcher that's good at the job, which IPSA members should be, when you look at the planning decisions, it should give you a code that tells you that, yes, this planning permission has been granted consent, but it is subject to a Section 106 agreement. So you therefore look for that agreement. You can't put it in the land charges section if it's not registered, but you can reveal it elsewhere. And I've picked up that several times in that council area when I knew there was 106, but I would go to land charges, have a look and think, there's no 106 registered, but there is one. So it's that sort of thing where we are monitored, the councils aren't. And to me, to be honest, they should be. There should be somebody, a body, that is checking up on them to make sure the 106s, the Section 38s, the Section 278s, etc., are registered. And that is the difference between. So therefore, if a council sent a search out without the Section 106 agreement information, they could be liable to be sued, because there could be all sorts of things on certain new plots that the owners cannot do and can't do. They might not be able to touch a tree. There might be sewers running through their property, so there might be agreements to do with that.
No, I can imagine scenarios where it could be absolutely dire flipping bollockal.
Yes, it could be. So therefore, with us being monitored and checked and somewhere to ask questions, it does make a heck of a difference. And so I won't mention who the councils are, but they are definitely in the Yorkshire area. That's all I will say.
All right.
But I think that was rectified because the person that came in, she actually now lives in America. So
Poor girl.
so so you can imagine the horror when as we were told when we were going in that you might pick up 106 agreements that weren't there before. The answer to that is, well, it's okay because we pick them up in planning anyway if you were doing your job properly.
If there's a big if, and the great thing about IPSA members is part of the work that you it seems like you've been foisted upon you, will be to ensure that IPSA members know to do this information or to ask these questions in advance. And they represent what to me seems a certain level of veracity and truth. So that means that other people who are using those go forward with the basis of a truthful discovery. Yes.
Oh, definitely. Because I've been reading what Hamish sent through about trusting the details, and I was looking. I started thinking, yes, we will double check again, to make sure that that information is there. It is correct. We have the backup of the PCCB. If anything does go wrong, we give information about the property ombudsman, etc., and all the things that people can do to correct those wrongs. If it does go wrong, which is quite rare, those people might not be members of IPSA or the PCCB. So mortgage lenders will look and say, yes, we will accept that search as long as they're members of IPSA and the PCCB. So that is why on the searches, we always had the logos to say that we are, and they could check. They could go online, check on the PCCB, check on the IPSA register to make sure that the information of that search company is up to date. They have paid their fees, because there are fees to pay, obviously, like anybody. A solicitor has to pay for these fees to be members. Nurses have to pay to be members of the nursing union or whatever it is.
Right.
So they can be checked on. So that's why IPSA trust in the details.
Hamish, it seems to me that not only is the code a reassurance, but it's almost an indicator of quality. It's like the kite mark.
Very, very much so. And I think we must hand over and sort of say basically to COPSO, that Council of Property Search Organisations, they put it in flow, and they were the ones that did a lot of hard work bringing this up to the fore. But it's interesting, as I said again, we're actually 20 years now that we're celebrating of this particular, if you like, this particular sort of cover. But it does actually sort of mean that we, like Jackie intimated there, that we are checked out every year, with a major one every sort of 3 years. In fact, I think ours is coming up for the early part of next year, which we're due for again. Crikey, it's amazing how quickly 3 years comes around. Never mind the 1 year. But however, it is reassuring, therefore, and this is the strange thing, because many people still say, I need to get a council search. And the council search is not a regulated search. There are 318 councils allegedly now, on the last count. There's 370 proper ones. I think the 318th is one of the islands. What's the island off the south coast?
Right.
Isle of Wight?
No. The daft one. Isle of Scilly. That's it.
Scilly Isles.
I was going to say France. But okay, moving on.
But whatever, it matters. The important thing is we are regulated, and therefore anybody that we're working for knows that it is regulated. We are checked out, and we've got the 2 stamps of approval. We don't just have the Property Codes Compliance Board level of approval, but we also have the approval of the IPSA stamp that if you're a member of it, you have to go through both channels. People do provide searches who are not regulated, they're not regulated. Right. However, it's entirely up to anybody else. It's up to the solicitor. If they're willing to accept those, they can accept them. But it goes against them should anything actually sort of go wrong, because it comes from their due diligence. There is no worrying, because we've obviously got the backing.
As I said before, because IPSA members have this one kite mark, they have 2 kite marks effectively, one provided by IPSA themselves, which is extra oversight, and one provided by COPSA
with the PCCB, which is the regulatory body.
Lovely. And I hope all of you watching, if you're not a member, this is a good reason to apply for membership, because then you have an extra level of significance to the fact that you've got this extra oversight. Therefore, you'll automatically be seen to be in my book, a better quality of search. And second of all, and this is most important, you become part of an overall body that treats this sort of level of oversight as important. Whereas there are plenty of searchers out there that don't. I want to thank once again Jackie Dyson, who's always excellent to have on these kind of shows, being as she is the Yorkshire Search Agency Oracle. And has lots of information. And of course, Hamish McClay, who helped me set up this thing in the first place. And to you watching out there, if you find this content useful to you, if it reassures you, or if you're an IPSA member and you're thinking, well, they keep promoting these, well, you could be here too. All you've got to do is ask, and we will be up there shouting for you as well. So please do approach Hamish, and we will move forward. Or Heather, in fact, and she'll put you in touch with Hamish to make sure it happens. But until next week, keep your feet on the ground, keep reaching for the stars, and please try and look after your mental health. Bye-bye now.
Bye.